Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another Should You Pull video for Epic 7. And today we're going to be talking about the next Moonlight 5-star hero that is going to be running after Pirate Captain Flan. If you guys are still wondering if you guys should use your pity on Flan or if you guys should try to pull for her, check out my last Should You Pull video featuring Pirate Captain Flan in the Mystic Banner. And in this video we're going to be talking about the next one, which is going to be Mediator, Kawerik, and Celestial Mercedes. Now keep in mind guys, after Mediator Kawerik's banner, there's going to be the Mystic Summon update where there's going to be 3 Moonlight 5-star heroes running on a single banner. And you get to choose which one you can try to pull for. And Smile gets implementing this so that a lot of players don't have to wait like a year and a half or 2 years for their ML 5-star that they really want. And so they can cycle through the rotations a bit faster because there are a lot of 5-star ML units now. That being said, let's get started with the video. So we're going to talk about Mediator Kawerik's skills first. So he is a Dark Warrior, keep that in mind, so he will be generally pretty bulky. His S3 is going to be an AoE, dispel all debuffs, and will also give attack and immunity for 2 turns, and will CR push him by 50%. And when this skill is available, according to the cooldown count, so basically when the skill is off cooldown, it will decrease debuff durations of the caster by 1 turn. So this is like a super broken ability. Hence, it's why it starts at 7 turns, but it goes down to 4. The cooldown on this is not that bad. It just seems like it at first until you actually skill enhance it. And basically, this skill just makes it so that it's really hard to actually CC him, even though he's not on a super high ER build, because you can see at the beginning of the battle, you can't really stun lock him, you can't do anything, because he'll just cleanse it, because when his turn comes up, he'll just cleanse or decrease debuff durations of himself by 1 turn, and then he can just dispel all the debuffs from all his allies, as well as giving attack buff and immunity. And this is really, really good because most openers that have a strip will usually go before Mediator Kawerik. So Mediator Kawerik not only cleanses his team, but will also give immunity buff to prevent further debuffs, which will most likely not be stripped because the opener with the strip / dispel has already gone before Mediator Kawerik. Now you can also soul burn this to extend duration of buffs by 1 turn. Very, very good because it's only a 10 soul burn. Very strong skill. This is like super OP after they buffed it. Next we have his S2. It is a single target attack that will dispel all buffs and then also decrease attack for 2 turns and gives everyone a barrier. And this does a pretty decent amount of damage. This will also scale with his max HP, and the barrier strength increases proportional to the allies max HP, so the barrier will not be as big on squishy units, but it will be very, very thick on tanks, and the damage actually is pretty high on this. Mediator Kawerik is like a cleanser, buffer, immunity buffer, CR push on himself, cleansing, damage dealer, barrier unit, just from 2 skills. Very, very strong. Also has decreased attack, which is really annoying to deal with, because he can strip the immunity that you have on your units and then apply it. Next we have his S1. This also does damage proportional to his max HP. It does a pretty hefty amount of damage, and basically it's just a single target attack and will increase CR by himself by 15%, and the ally except the caster with the highest CR on the bar by another 15%. So it's a very, very good skill to cycle. You're going to be getting a lot of S3s and S2s off, so very, very strong unit. This guy is like top 5 ML 5-star for sure in the current meta. You can see him picked in World Arena or RTA like all the time. He's a very highly contested pick. One of the best cleansers, if not the best cleanser in the game, because he supplies attack buff, immunity buff, also has a barrier, also has a debuff that's really strong against DPS units, also has, you know, very crazy damage because his damage scales with his HP, and the scaling is pretty good. Also has a CR push, so there's like multiple builds you can run on him. You never know what kind of Kawerik you're facing. You can run like a full cleansing Kawerik, support Kawerik, you know, that tries to just buff his team and, you know, CR push. You can also fight like a semi-tanky, like DPS, crit chance, crit damage oriented Kawerik, which I think is the better build. He just does so much damage, he's already super tanky, and you also just have like so much utility. Like this unit is just crazy. After the buffs, like I personally think that since this unit was so bad before his buffs that Smilegate decided to kind of over buff him. He's definitely in a very strong state. I think he's always going to be a staple pick in most metas because he just has so much utility while being tanky and doing damage. Like there's no way you can't, like there'll be a meta that he's bad because, you know, his kit's just very overloaded. That being said, he's not really used in PvE at all, so you won't really use him for early game, especially if you are new to the game. But once you get into the late game and you are into PvP, he's a very strong unit in World Arena. You don't really see him in a regular arena or in Guild Wars, to be honest. He's mostly for World Arena or RTA. So, you know, late game players, you really want this unit. Like, I know for sure I'm going to try to pull for him because I don't have him, and he's super annoying to deal with. He's definitely in the top 5, like, ML 5 stars for PvP, like I said, for World Arena. That being said, we're also going to talk about the ML 4-star unit alongside him, which is Celestial Mercedes. So Celestial Mercedes, not that great of a unit in my opinion. She is mostly going to be used in Hunt one-shots as like the AoE damage dealer, especially for like Azmonak, right? And also you can use her as a cleaver in PvP, although there's a lot better cleave options. So S3 is an AoE attack, increases attack of herself for 2 turns, and increases her CR by 20% according to the number of critical hits made. So this will most likely, you know, give you a 80% CR push because you should always be critting in PvP and PvE. Her S2 is an AoE attack, which will deal damage proportional to the enemy's max health, so against tankier units does more damage. And her S1 is just a single target attack with unhealable, it doesn't really matter. Most of the time you're going to S3 CR push yourself and then have another unit to CR push her, the extra 20%, and then you S2 after, and you just do massive amounts of damage. But honestly, I think there's a lot better cleavers in the game right now, right? So, like, even Green Vildred I like better because of the speed imprint. Like, you can use Arbiter Vildred because he's safe with the revive. There's just so many options. And honestly, Celestial Mercedes cleave comps aren't that great anymore. You're most likely going to see, like, Summertime Assyria cleaves nowadays. Because, you know, AoE cleaving is a bit harder nowadays with, like, Bellion in the meta and the counter units. So, you're most likely going to see a different variant of cleave teams with the Bomb and, you know, the Burn meta right now. So, yeah, I don't think Celestial Mercedes should be your goal. You definitely do not want to use your pity on Celestial Mercedes, right? Just because she's not that great of a unit. She definitely needs a buff in my opinion. And yeah, I don't think she's worth pitying. But for Mediator Kawerik, for sure, I think he's a very strong unit. You can never go wrong. Even if you're early into the game, guys, I think he's a very powerful unit for PvP. Like, you can build him right away, and you can just first pick him in RTA if you want to get into RTA. And he will do you wonders if he's one of your first 5-star ML units. Yeah, that being said, let's talk about the normal hero and artifact rotations. We're mostly only going to talk about the 5-star RGB unit as well as the artifacts. We have Pavel. Pavel used to be a very, very strong PvP opener unit because he basically could open for your team, CR push if you run him with like a Challenger Dominio who can also hold book, which is very good because you'll see his soul run on his S2s an extra turn. And he just one-shots the unit right away while doing a chunk of AoE damage to everyone else. And he also cannot trigger a counter attack on his S2, making him a very strong counter to Rem. But nowadays it's hard to use him because, one, Bellion's in the meta to cancel out the book users. And to make him work in World Arena, you really need to have him with the Tag of Hell's holder. And it's easy to play around it. And the unit is a lot more tankier nowadays, so it's hard to one-shot, whereas before it was a bit more squishier. So you don't really see him as much, but he's still very fun to use. You can also use him in Banshee one-shot, but that's, you know, he's not one of the best units there in my opinion. So I don't think it's worth, you know, pulling on this rotation for Pavel, especially because the artifact is also very bad because Knowledge Seed basically has a chance when you die to grant all allies except for the caster, well, I mean the caster's dead, right, to a random buff for 2 turns. And yeah, maybe this sounds really good, but there's RNG aspect. And also you actually need to have this at max limit break to actually have the 100% chance to grant all allies the buff. So not only is this, you know, RNG, but you also need to plus 30 it. And yeah, the chances is that you have, you know, plus 30 knowledge seed sitting in your inventory is very low anyway, so not really worth pulling for. Honestly, if you're going to pull for Mediator Kawerik, guys, I think you should wait for the next rotation because no matter what, it has to be better than this because both the artifact and the unit are not that great. So I definitely recommend waiting until the next rotation or even the one after if the next one seems bad. You never have to rush to pull for Mystic units, right? So yeah, that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. Mediator Kawerik, very powerful PvP unit. Even if you're early into the game, you want to get a strong, you know, starter ML 5-star for PvP, Mediator Kawerik is a very good option, especially if you're trying to get into World Arena or RTA. Celestial Mercedes not that great, you know, Pavel not that great, Knowledge Seed not that great. So I would definitely wait for the next week's rotation of normal hero and artifacts. Even though that Celestial Mercedes will still stay, maybe you'll get a better 5-star unit and artifact by that time. Hope this video helped you out, guys, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.